Why will most high performing women never pause? Not because they're incapable and not because they don't need to, but because pausing threatens something deeper than productivity. And most women never examine what that is. Today, we're going to have that conversation. Hey, friend, I'm glad you're here. Come on in. Come on in for that conversation with Natalynn. I'm Natalynn, and I coach professional women who want more agency over how they live, lead, or work. Women who want growth, advancement, and transformation without overwhelm or without losing themselves in the process. Before we go further in talking about why high performing women will never pause, let's frame this. Let's frame it clearly. If you are someone who values excellence, responsibility, advancement, this may challenge you. You may have a few aha moments, few realizations that are good. You may also have a few ouch moments. Ouch. She's all in my head. She's talking about me. Both are useful because both can bring some clarity, and clarity more so than speed creates a sustainable path forward in how you live, lead, or work. So stay with me. It's interesting. There is a belief that many high performing women have around taking time to pause. Many high performing women will never pause because pause threatens identity, and identity feels non negotiable. When you've been rewarded for being reliable, responsive, for the output, availability, for the composure under pressure, your nervous system begins to associate momentum with value. And pause disrupts that reinforcement loop. And disruption feels dangerous, risky. And I have to be honest with you, this belief is not foreign to me. I remember a moment early in my executive career when I was juggling multiple initiatives. I know you're right there with me. Every calendar, every calendar block was filled. Every decision was urgent. Every request required speed and a response yesterday. I could feel that one project needed reconsideration. Not abandonment, but definitely reflection and reconsideration. But the idea of pausing in that moment, it felt professionally risky. So I continued. And what I learned later was I learned it strategically, not emotionally. I learned this. The cost of not pausing, not being still to assess and reflect, was actually greater than the discomfort I would have experienced by pausing. But I didn't see it in real time then. Because part of my identity that was associated with over delivering under timelines was louder than the discernment. And it's interesting. Research in leadership psychology shows that high performers develop what's called identity fusion with role performance. And so when identity fuses with performance, slowing output can feel like diminishing self-worth. And this is not weakness, it's conditioning. And I say that because professional environments reward productivity, reward uh, visibility, but they don't always reward strategic stillness. And when you compare this research to some of the research on executive decision making that shows that Actually, cognitive flexibility, that ability to step back, reassess, and recalibrate, that's one of the strongest predictors of long term leadership effectiveness. And the reality is, the leaders who rise sustainably are, they're not the fastest. They are the most calibrated and agile. And that distinction matters. And here's the strategic truth around all of this: momentum builds recognition, but pause builds authority. Momentum proves you can execute, pause proves you can evaluate. And while execution is visible, evaluation is quiet. And because evaluation is quiet, many women underestimate its power. So, Natalynn, why is it that most women will never pause? Let's be direct. Let's be real. Let's have some ouch moments. If you are a high performing woman, you may do everything in your power not to pause because you fear losing relevance. You fear someone else will step in or step ahead. You fear appearing hesitant. Here's a big one. You fear disrupting expectations. But underneath all of that is one deeper fear. And that fear is, if I'm not being productive, if I'm not producing, who am I? That, my friend, is identity work, not time management. And I remember a time in my own leadership journey when that directive clothed in urgency. Every need was urgent. Every deliverable, every decision had an expectation of immediacy. The room was actually prepared to move. All the moving pieces were poised to become busy without a defined and aligned path forward. Instead of advancing immediately, I said, I'd like to take time to revisit and review this aspect of the ask and reconvene tomorrow. I brought no drama, no upset energy, no over explaining my reasoning. Just poised, measured, confidence and calmness. Then my silence. There was stillness in the air, as if everyone was holding their breath. And then it was like a collective sigh of relief. There was a shift in the room, uh, not resistance, but nods of agreement, recalibration. And for me, what followed was not a loss of credibility. It was strengthened positioning because that pause signaled discernment, and discernment signals leadership maturity. As a leader, the discernment that comes from pausing, it's critical. There are studies on cognitive load and executive function that consistently show that high pressure environments actually reduce the brain's ability to detect those subtle risk variables. So when we operate in continuous output mode, Our brains prioritize closure over complexity. Pausing restores access to better discernment, to handling complexity. And handling complexity is where your strategic advantage lives. So, in a nutshell, see, speed sustains activity, but pause protects your judgment. And judgment protects your strategic positioning and your leadership legacy. The truth is, you don't need to slow down your ambition. You need to slow down your reflex. Because high performing women like you, like me, we are really lacking effort. We are often lacking the protected space to engage in evaluation. And without evaluation space, you cannot evolve your strategy. You can only accelerate it. And the reality is, acceleration without reassessment, that eventually narrows possibility. While pausing opens up avenues of discernment and widens your long term possibilities. I love using metaphors, so play along for a minute. You're a master chess player. You do not move simply because the clock is running. No, you move because the move aligns with your long term positioning, your strategy. And where a rushed move gains seconds on the clock, a calibrated move gains advantage. Let your leadership strategy be positional, not reactive. And also embrace that pause is positional awareness. So, Natalynn, how do you develop pause as a leadership skill? Well, let's think in three dimensions of giving yourself a space to reflect, discern, and decide. The first dimension is what we call the operational pause. That's space before execution. The second dimension is the relational pause. That's space before responding to others. And the third dimension is the strategic pause. And that's space before commitment. Each pause protects your influence. Each one strengthens perceptions of your authority. So let's bring today full circle with three questions to consider, to reflect on. Question number one, ask yourself and be honest. If I paused more often, what part of my identity would feel threatened? And remember, it's not about beating yourself up. It's about gaining clarity. Question number two, where have I equated speed with productivity, superiority? And question number three, what would change in my leadership if my discernment became visible? By the way, if you're having some aha moments right now, good. Some ouch moments, even better. This week, I also want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to choose one high impact decision. And instead of going into action Jackson mode and being hyperactive, hyper busy around that decision, insert a deliberate evaluation pause, evaluation time. You are not avoiding an intentional pause or delay out of fear. You are pausing as a strategic imperative. And that, my friend, is practicing self leadership and systems level leadership. You'll notice the quality of thinking and possibilities that emerge. And I'll leave you with this: momentum without pause sustains motion, but momentum with pause sustains authority. And authority is not built in busyness. It's built in the moments of pause and discernment. Okay. So, my friend, that's it for today. If this conversation resonates, come back for more and tell a friend. I post every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday evening. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. Take a peek at my links in the description. More to come. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time on That Conversation with Natalynn.